Hello everyone, my name is Yushi.
I'm Mariko.
I'm Dylan. Thanks for tuning in.
And this is an Invitation to Happiness Season 3 Coronavirus Special. Today we'll be watching Master's lecture entitled Choose Where There Is Light.
The major ongoing issue is the worldwide infection and mortality through the pandemic of the pneumonia, caused by the novel coronavirus originated in China. In the long run, however, it is wisdom to see behind this incident as an important warning in human history which is given to humanity now. The pandemic has now spread across the world and people started to forget about how it started. They just feel the pandemic is spreading around the world. However, as I've written in my book, that this novel coronavirus infection originated in China, please do not forget this. At least there is no doubt that this pandemic started in Wuhan. The Chinese government then blocked the city of more than 10 million. The government knew some important incident had occurred but concealed the information, expecting the epidemic would abate soon, but it has spread more widely than they expected. As a result, the government became unable to conceal the information and started to deal with it. You must know about this. However, I'm not saying that Chinese people are bad. I am saying that there is something wrong in the ruling system which oppresses the people. Chinese government should tell the truth to its people as well as to the people overseas, since it has been causing negative influence to them. And I repeatedly said through our activities, this is actually a battle between the communist virus or the gene of atheism and the materialism, and the immunity or antibody of faith. It is a terrible situation that atheistic and materialistic thoughts dominate and conquer the world. Coronavirus has now been spreading at an incredible rate in such a nation as Italy, where the Vatican is situated. The Pope has bowed to the political power of China and become unable to guide people to Christian faith in China. This trend will continue for a while. Therefore, in my opinion, it is impossible to maintain the progress which has been realized until now. Humanity needs henceforth a strong spirit to reset and restart everything from scratch.
Well, all right. Well, we just watched Master Okawa's lecture excerpt, a phenomenal lecture.
Totally.
And he really reveals the beginning and the end of this coronavirus outbreak. He said at the beginning was the origination from China, Wuhan, China. And he spoke about how it began. It began spreading, and China covered it up. It spread to the people, they locked down the city, and they really covered up all the information until it became unmanageable, and it began spreading beyond their capacity to handle. And he said by the end of this outbreak, we're going to see a reset. We're going to see going back to starting from scratch. So Master Okawa's prediction for this coronavirus is something far beyond what many news medias are mentioning.
You know, one part that stood out to me was he said it's important to know where it started and why. And why is it important to know where it started? And you know, we're beginning to see many news outlets that are agreeing that it started off in China, and it's still sometimes not certain if you watch the news. However, the fact is it started in Wuhan, China. And so when I thought, why should we know this? It's because where is it coming from? China. What kind of government do they have? An oppressed government. And the fact that the whole world is now watching them will force them to be turned over. So it's really important to know this and to pay attention to how they are treating their people, and that it's not okay. It's a humanitarian crisis, actually, and we need to pay attention and not allow this kind of government to, you know, become powerful in the world. And I think if such a government becomes powerful, which a lot of the world, you know, depends on, then economically, it's a very dangerous situation to be in. We can't support that kind of government at all.
I totally agree. And see, the thing is, like, you know how you mentioned that it originated in China, it's very important to look at it so that we can, like, you know, see the reason why this is actually occurring on Earth right now, right? And so what is bad about this government? Master Okawa has been teaching us multiple times for the past, like, I would say, decade of the danger of the Chinese Communist Party. And the way he explains it, it comes from an academic perspective. He refers to Hannah Arendt, who's an American philosopher, who talks about the 3 points to check to see whether a government is totalitarian or not. And that's actually written in this book, Love for the Future. And instead of me reading it to you guys, I would like to have the lovely voice Mariko share it with you of the part that where I was just talking about.
The American political philosopher Hannah Arendt pointed out 3 signs of totalitarian country. The first sign is a secret or special police force keeping the country's citizens under surveillance. The second sign is the existence of internment camps where people who resist against or politically criticize the administration are imprisoned or forced into silence. Camps like these are used to isolate people from the public. The third sign is a system of purging or the slaughtering of people. People who are seen as nuisances to the administration's interests are mercilessly purged and erased from this world without due trial in court. When a country is seen to have all 3 of these things, a secret police, internment camps, and a system of purging, this signifies a totalitarian country.
Obviously, Chinese Communist Party has all 3. They have a secret police. That's very scary because we've never seen this kind of a secret police in the past. What I mean is there's a surveillance camera all over the place, and also it's connected with the AI having the facial recognition system. And that's why, you know, in the Hong Kong Revolution, they were doing all of these masks and stuff, trying to cover their identity. But it is turning into like a world of Terminator, or like literally, it's a very scary society we're seeing. And so 1, they have secret police always having surveillance. 2, yes, they do have concentration camps. They have a whole country that they took over under this kind of system, which is Uyghur. So, and what it's being done, like it's said that there's 1 million people who are...
And Master was the first one who spoke out against this.
There you go.
Right? In the lecture he gave in Germany, Love for the Future.
And which is in the book, in this book, Love for the Future. But so they do have this concentration camp, and what's being conducted there is just absolutely unhumane. It's just terrible what they're doing. And then last but not least, the system of purging people. The Tiananmen Square incident. We've seen many of these cover-ups, you know, of people who are trying to bring democracy. And so if God existed, I don't think he would allow this kind of government ruling a country with the biggest population on Earth. And therefore, I believe, as Master has taught us, it brings everything in picture. When Master explains these things from this religious perspective, no wonder they have to go through a period of self-reflection to reflect on their way of their system of governing people. Of course, if God existed, do you think he will be quiet about this? He won't. That's why, you know, they're all speaking through Master Ryuho Okawa right now. But the point that I wanted to talk about from this video clip is how he mentions about the Pope succumbing to the CCP, which is a very sad thing if you think about it, because human rights, the dignity of human beings, come from the fact that human beings are children of God. There is religion behind human rights. And so religion must be the ones, or religious people should be the ones to point out this issue. But what the Pope succumbed, you know how like they gave away the rights to be able to point the, what are they
bishops.
Bishops.
Yes.
To point the bishops. They gave it away. Was it last year, 2 years ago? Recently, they gave it away, that right to the CCP. So like that was the moment that the Roman Catholic has lost to this totalitarian nation. So it's very, I think it's like in Happy Science, we're not trying to point out that other religions are wrong, this is good or not, but we're trying to get to the truth so that true peace and harmony and prosperity will come to this earth. And what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. If there is a constructive like evil that is trying to bring chaos to the world, it's important for justice to come out.
And if we don't see a big change, then perhaps we'll be continuously shown self-reflection from heaven. The heavenly beings do not want the system to continue, and they're pointing it out through these actions. And so it's up to humankind as if we take their advice or not. And that's the turning point we find ourselves at.
Which goes back to the point where he talks about in the lecture, it's a battle against like the atheist, materialist, communist virus, which is like a philosophical virus, against the immunity of faith. So what's in the field right now is not about a materialistic COVID-19 virus that exists fighting against the medical field vaccines, but everything is actually, the truth behind all of this is philosophy, it is spiritual, is what you believe in. And I thought that it's not like Master Okawa is just alarming us. He's alarming us on a purpose, that we need to change directions.
Yes.
But he's not alarming us. He's providing us with the words of these heavenly spiritual beings, even from the universe, which we'll watch in the next video clip, that they're giving us a warning that we need to change directions. And he is being the microphone for the heavenly world, right? But also at the same time, he always gives us hope, which is this immunity or like faith vaccine.
Like simply put, like, you know, with atheism ruling the world, we will go towards destruction. But if we have the antibody or the remedy of faith, then we can head in a hopeful direction. It's really as simple as that. And so, you know, with the whole Vatican situation, it's very sad because in that instance where they allowed the bishops to be chosen by the Chinese Communist Party, basically, it means that materialism won in that situation, and that was bad. Like, basically, they put government before God, which is like a huge no-no, you know? So that is why we see these things. And so the last statement, he said, everything will start from scratch. You know, those are very harsh words, but it's hopeful in the way that we can look forward to a world that, again, that God had created and meant for it to be, you know, instead of these, you know, evil regimes that are taking over. So...
yeah, and just to put into perspective, you know the new book that was published, The Spiritual Reading Behind COVID-19 Originated in China? In it, it's so important to look at the time sequence of how this occurred. What he's saying in that spiritual reading, or what he revealed through his spiritual readings in that book, is that if this COVID-19 did not happen, what would the world be like? The Chinese Communist Party was ready to crush Hong Kong and Taiwan. They were ready to expand their military strength, and they're ready to invade other countries. So the thing is, the scenario could have been even worse. So like, of course, it's a sad thing that many people are getting this virus, which is again because of the Chinese Communist Party. It was a holy intervention to prevent that kind of a hot war to occur around that area. So I think that looking at this time frame is very important. By doing so, you can see the perspective that these beings are trying to protect us and guide us, like in the, I guess, like the best way, so that the worst won't happen.
So speaking of that next video, be sure to tune in to our next video on R.A. Gold's spiritual message.
Yeah, so please watch the next video. Thank you for tuning in.